What's up, y'all? What is up? What's up? Let's do this, man. This new space, August 3rd. Y'all see it. Y'all see the ambiance, man. It's a whole nother vibe, whole nother vision. Um, let's do it, man. This is a new space. A new space. I have to we gotta change the subscriber count. So we are now at should I go subscriber? I'm gonna just say subscribers. I don't know. Should I change the color? Or is that bad? Is that good? I think because I have just such a white background. I don't know how I'm gonna change it. Alright, y'all. So y'all, let me do the take effect. Right, thing. I'm trying to see how I'm gonna get these flicks. Boom. Yeah. All right. So let's get that out the way. All right, we got the whatever. We got the screenshot. Let me see. Boom. Got it. So we have 12. We just hit 12. We had 12 subscribers. Obviously this is pretty good. Hopefully next video, we'll try and find out how we can change. Obviously because this is gonna be a consistent space, so we're gonna have to change the color to black. So, I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to change this to black. Or this right here. Let's see. Get everything started. Damn it. Damn, it's not changing. Alright, I don't know why it's not changing. There it is. Boom. Alright, finally. Damn. We definitely gonna have to change. Look, damn, we gonna have to change this. What to say? We made it. New space, new place. I finally hit past 10 subscribers. I made a YouTube post that we're gonna obviously do the count of. We just surpassed 10. We're gonna go 100. And we're gonna go 1,000. We're gonna go 10,000. We're gonna go 100,000, and then we're gonna hit 1,000,000. So that's the goal. Um, you know, it's great. It feels great. I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel blessed to get into this space, man, of doing this. Um, I don't know if I was I told myself I was not going to stream today, but I'm like, I gotta stay as consistent as possible. So I thought to like just let me get this stream out the way, and come back. Um, yeah, I'm just clipping every day. Sunday I was, even though I was trying my hardest not to like. Oh, I was trying to get everything like ready to move out for the next space which I'm in right now. It was just hard because it's like I was trying to edit content. I'm doom scrolling, watching other people, just being observant. Um, and it's getting a little hot up in here. Hold on. um, yeah. Let's see. Um, but yeah, it was it was a lot going on early this morning. Or just all of yesterday. Um, I am glad that I'm finally moved out. I have my own spot now. Um, Obviously, like it's a different, it's, it's just another space to be, going after what I always wanted to do. Um, just trying to make, just trying to make everything possible for myself. That's all. Um, so so yeah, man, big changes. A lot of different things are obviously being done. So we just gotta make just things shake, and just keep fighting. Um, this white is just throwing me off. It's so much white. I didn't expect it to be. So we're definitely gonna make changes. Uh, I'm gonna make changes to definitely next stream. Um, I really want to just kind of make my clips for the next few days. It's a little dirty. I'm sorry, I'm being just OCD right now. Just noticing just a little dirt. Let me clean this off. Next few days I'm probably gonna be. I've been clipping all of today, well, yesterday. I'm just catching back on, catching up on the clips that I didn't upload. I'll do that later. So it's all of these things. You're just trying to get to that next level. That's all. Um, I'm starting to see a lot of people that's starting to become very judgmental against streaming. For some reason, I don't know why. I think everybody is entitled to their opinion, but to say like, I feel like so many people that just watch TikTok clips, they kind of have just the wrong notion of what live streaming is. That people think that they're on 24/7, and even though there are some people that do, like that's not every streamer. Like, I think it takes very strategy. There people say that live streaming is, surveillance content. Um, just a lot of just crazy stuff. It's to me, I just think is, you know, people not necessarily being aware of what like streaming is really doing. Um, I think it's just one of the most, groundbreaking things. Obviously, it's very oversaturated with people that are just creating extreme content, attention seeking content. Um, I've never, uh, I never, support people that just do anything for attention. I think it creates a, a bad judgment on people that do just be authentically themselves and not try and clip farm and just try to build a community just on who they are. Everybody's gonna have a character to be on the streaming platform, just like just being in public in general. Everybody everybody plays a role. The world is a stage. When you get home, that's obviously, when you're in the privacy of your home, that's obviously your own time to unwind and be who you truly are. But I think everybody plays a position and a role in this thing that we call life. So, I mean, to each his own. I just think that a lot of people are so quick to judge and don't do research. We live in I think we're living in an age where everybody's talking past each other. Like it's getting ridiculous because so many people are quick to speak and not quick to hear or see. And when you don't do your research and you don't analyze and you don't take the time to make a calculated opinion, it creates a level of ignorance. It creates, division. It creates arguments. It creates all these things because something that you might have just seen instinctively, I should say. Now you feel like you have the right to know, or you feel like you have the right to say and come to a conclusion. Like, there's so many people that are creating conclusions without any facts. And it just speaks to people. God dang, I need some water. Excuse me. I think there's a lot of people that it's funny how when people make these rants on TikTok, that the moment you click on their profile is just 100,000 different rants, and it then begins the question: do you really believe that the stuff that you're saying, or are you just trying to get clicks to make money off TikTok? And like, I don't get why people think that like yapping content is making people money. It's not. Like, there's people that are making $200 on 1 million viewed videos. Like, it's not a money making thing, like, it's not really, for the time that you put into it, it's not worth, you know what I mean? Some people obviously have great perspectives and great rants, but if you do it truly like for what it is, and you're not trying to monetize off of it, then do it. But most of the people, that's why I say, like, I think it's a lot of BS content of people that are just making just these outlandish opinions to create division and create conversation, and half the time they don't believe in what they're saying. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that most of the people really be believing in the stuff that they say half the time, because it's like they just want whatever that's going to drive them the most views. You know, if they got to say the most outlandish thing, or, you know, and to a certain extent, like it creates this level of credibility that it taints it, you know? Like, you don't want to have to taint your, like, you only get one digital image, you know? And people are willing to just say whatever, and they don't think about the repercussions, or they don't think about the aftermath of what they might say might ruin their reputation. You know, we don't, you know, a lot of people aren't considerate of those things. And sometimes it takes for them to fall smack on their face, and then it's like, oh, I wish I never done this. Now it's like the damage is done, you know, it's irreversible. You get what I'm saying? So it's like we gotta just just think a little bit more. People that make content that's just trying to make content, hey man, think a little bit more. You know, find your identity. You know what I mean? Some people brand is just gossip. You know, I can't knock their hustle, but I think it becomes a problem when, you know, people just sit on the internet, don't do the research, you know, have strong opinions, and don't want people to at least challenge what they have to say. If I'm gonna say something, you know, and if I put it to the public, I expect you to have something that can challenge my opinion. I've never been afraid of people challenging my opinion. But it's so ironic and it's so funny that there's so many people that may have strong judgments, but they don't want strong challenges. Please make sense of that. How can you want make a strong judgment about somebody or anything, about an idea, about a concept? Please explain to me how you can have this judgment, but then, you know what I mean, you don't want people to chastise you or challenge what argument that your claims that you're making. You know, I just think it's wild. Um, so, you know, it's all those things that you see. You know, you kind of live with it, but you just kind of go with the flow. I think that's what I do nowadays. It's just it's just go with the flow. You know, I feel ever since starting streaming, I feel like my brand and my identity has evolved to a space that I never thought I'd be. You know, when I was just being just simply and only an artist, like there was just so many things that I didn't necessarily know that was really kind of holding me back. You know what I mean? And I think as artists, you want to stay as visible as possible. And I think for me, it's like I obviously want to make great music. I obviously want to make great concepts. Like that's always the plan. Um, but it becomes a problem, you know, in between moments, right? Like I always say, if you don't have money, or if you don't have a level of capital to not only promote your music, but to live at your own pace, to live your own life, and understand that like you're really on a time limit when you know, when you're like signed and got in advance. um there's a lot of people don't have any in betweens. um I just noticed that, well, I didn't just notice that, but for a while I've noticed that it's like there's so many artists that are heavily dependent on their streams, or just their music in general, and I think it limits them. I think great artists can definitely jump. I mean, great artists in general can make great songs, but I think the artists that really are successful are the artists that have the ability to do more than one thing besides just making music. And there's a lot of artists that aren't doing that. That understand that, hey, wow, you know, this music stuff is a workload, but what can you create on the side of that that can not only alleviate, you know, financial issues, but also allow you to to expand your brand, because that's all of it is, is expansion. I think, people like, Rihanna and so many other artists, Pharrell, like, they've expanded their brand because they wanted to do something outside of just making music. Music is great, and that's what I want to do. Like, but, and I'm not gonna say, I don't want to say the secrets of how I want to do things, but um, I think it is a great platform. The music is a great platform for you to collaborate with brands, um, with other businesses. If you want to create something, a product, like, I think music allows, the community that you build to jump into other businesses. And I think, like, that's how I see a lot of the stuff. But just like music, I think live streaming found me. Like, I'm gonna be quite honest. I really was pushing the concept of live streaming away for so long. Because I thought it was gonna get in the way of music and these things. But I think, like, what I love about it is that there is something that I can, at any point in time, create a level of a space, and it's live, it's uncut, it's authentic. Like, you can't, like, live streaming, you can't get that anywhere else. um Vlogs are a big second place. Podcasts are on the rise too. Well, they're not on the rise, but they're at one of the multi, like I said, live streaming, podcasting, vlogs. Vlogs is probably last, but podcasting is first. I definitely first, and then live streaming is a close second. You know, um, there's a lot of people that are doing both. You know, but I know for me, like I said, is creating the art and music is all I want to do, but then leaving a space like live streaming to show the side of who I am as a person, and who I am as an artist. So you're gonna see the studio sessions. Are you gonna see all studio sessions? No, unfortunately, no. Um, Probably will be in the vlogs. So like I said, I have an ecosystem, right? I have my music, I have the live stream, and then I have my vlogs. And that's why I like what Duke Dennis does. Like, if people pay attention to, like, what Duke Dennis do, in terms of, like, his content direction, for the longest he was always on live, like, but as of recent he kind of pulled back. And I think it's a reason is because it's his brand that he wants to uphold, right? And when you're always live streaming, and when you have an established community, um you don't always have to live stream. Like, you're not grinding, like some people are grinding to get somewhere, and some people are grinding just to plateau and just be maintaining. And I think Duke Dennis has reached a point where he has reached and exceeded his standards, and now, if you notice, he's going back to vlogs, because vlogs allows him to still live his personal life. You still capturing the content as if you're on live stream, but you still get to live your life again. And I think that's what, like, live streaming shouldn't always be televising everything that you do. Obviously, if you're making content, or if you have a project that you want to do, or you want to create, those are important things. But then at the same time, as much as you reach this high status, you kind of want to take back certain points of your life. And I think that's what Duke Dennis is doing. Is like, I appreciate the love and support, but I'm gonna still give you parts of my life, but I want a little bit of the parts that I do want. I want it private, you know. So it's a very smart thing that he's doing, and that's kind of like the same, similar style. Um, um, that I mean, I'm not just gonna disappear. Obviously, like, I'm gonna be on this live stream grind for a while, um, but it's just, these are just things that I have to do to maintain just the artistry, because I love live streaming at this point, but at the same time, I don't want to lose one or the other just to uphold live streaming. I won't do that. Some people, live streaming is just their number one. They don't see anything outside of just live streaming. I think it's a great platform, just like how music is a great platform. But it's all to jump into different entities and not just stay in one for the rest of your life. And that's why I think that's why people like Beyonce and other Rick Ross and Drake, um, Chris Brown, all of them they love music, but they still have different ventures, because it's about giving all of what you have creatively, and to be fair, some people full creative, like, outletting in their creative entity is just purely streaming. There's some people just don't have the creative space to jump into other entities, or just jump into other industries. So I'm on both sides, but for me personally, I got to do more than one thing. I think, because this has always been me. I've just always been a person that done multiple things. So it's just like I said, I'm just looking forward to just all of the stuff. Now that I'm finally in my new space, and I'm not like in this transition place of moving to a different place, the content and the strategies are going to be a little bit more intentional, and we're going to just start moving towards building the other things, girl content, fitness, um, um, I'm going to walk tomorrow. I don't know if I'm a live stream it. I might not. But I'm doing just more than one thing. I'm gonna try and make my first investment into live streaming, which is my wireless mic. So I'm gonna have that ability to have a wireless mic where now I can really talk. Um, um, so it's gonna help out just a lot of things. So it's a lot of things, man. It's a lot of things that I want to just do differently, and it's gonna happen. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything that I've been thinking about. Um, mm, I think um, a lot of things that I've been thinking about is just you know people betraying people. Um, Betrayal sucks because sometimes it's not expected from people, and I think when you have people that you can trust, um, it can sometimes blind you. You know, that blindfold trust is dangerous. You know, because at certain points they can hurt you when you don't expect it. You know, and it sucks. You know, you gotta always be mindful, but also still be vulnerable. You know, even though people may break your trust, don't use that trust. Don't use that specific betrayal and push it to others. I think that's wrong. I'm not a believer in carrying situations to other situations, because that's only gonna drag newer situations down. Um, I always tell people, whether it's in a relationship, friendship, give yourself time to heal. You know, don't just jump into a situation out of wanting somebody to fill that role, because then that puts the other person in harm's way. You know, and you know, nobody knows when, whether you know, it's not like a timer where, oh, now I'm fully healed. Now it's like you just live life. You know, things will attract to you in certain ways and in certain spaces. Like, you'll know when's the right time to do the right thing. um, and yeah, I just think that a lot of us are forcing things to happen, um, and not positioning for things to happen. And those are like the two most important things, is because when you try to force things, you try to create a step-by-step procedure. But when you allow things to gravitate, when you allow things to happen, it's sort of a magnetic attraction. So when you allow for things to magnetically attract to you, all the good's gonna come. You know, there might be things, but if you have the discernment to see that this thing isn't good, it's going to repel. You know, so it allow life to gravitate, allow life to magnetically gravitate towards the things that you want to do in life. You don't have to force it. And I don't mean force by waking up and, you know, doing an action. Like, just allow yourself time to breathe. Don't put yourself down because you didn't get a specific task done, you know. And I think the more that you just allow life to just attract to you, because everything doesn't work on your time, you know. All you can do is like, all right, I'm gonna give myself 2 years, 3 years, and within that space, allow life to attract to you. Don't just try and say, I'm going to be doing this by X. Like, it's not that, it's not that cookie cut. You know, it's not that clear cut. If life was like that, a lot of people would be successful. You know, but life, in life in the front view is very unpredictable. You know, only in the hindsight is where things are clear. 2020 vision. But you allow things of what you clearly see to inform you about what you might encounter. And so when you create that level of openness, that's the key. It's not trying to force and pigeonhole yourself. Like, an example for me for openness is just live streaming in itself. I was so not wanting to do this. I did not want to do this. I didn't want to do live streaming. I really didn't. But there was just factors and things that just kept giving me a reason why. And when that happens, that's when it should be your time to, take that step forward. Not when you see somebody else do it and then now it's like, now I want to do it just because. No, allow life, live life, and allow things to give you signals for you to do things. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're always trying to hyper focus on our wants and not attract our needs. You get what I'm saying? So it's all those things. A lot of people just don't understand the small things about life, the details, because we always want the big things. Nobody wants to look at the details. Nobody wants to look at the intricacies. Everybody wants to look at, oh, how can this help me? Fuck everybody else. How can this shit help me? And that's selfish. How do you expect people to be beneficial from anything that you're doing? I just watched something and I just read something too, because I'm always reading. That's another thing a lot of people should do. Make sure you're always doing research, reading, being observant of the world. You know what I mean? You don't always have to comment about the world. You don't always have to give your opinion on what's going on in the world, because things change. Things evolve. Opinions evolve. I think it should be left to people that, whatever. But when you on a goal and you really want to achieve something, you really want to do something for your life at the, and in the same space, not cause no havoc and I know to some extent, you have to have a certain level of shock value, but I think when you risk a lot and say the most asinine things, it definitely puts you at a risk, and I want to improve, but I don't want to put myself at a risk. There's a lot of things I can say, that could give me a lot of views. But what is the value in it if people are going to come for your head after you say things, So it's always about needing and weaving through the valleys and try and find your own personal way, while still being influential in what you do. That's just always been me. I'm just controversial by nature. I don't need to say anything controversial. I just think that who I am as a person makes people feel uncomfortable. My personality, who I am, things I value, I think is very controversial. So I don't need to say any outlandish things. I always give compliments to people because I'm not insecure. I can clap for people, when I'm not at the level I want to be. I can still clap for people. I can still support people because I don't get into the world of I need to shit on you in order to lift me up. I leave that to people that don't understand themselves. I could say, oh, this person's broke, and what does it do besides cause a certain level of attention and just like all money ain't good money, all attention ain't good attention. I don't care what nobody says. Even if it brings all the attention to you and you can turn it into obviously I want to be Josh Chapman. There might just be negative attention that comes my way just by me being me, but I'm not going to go out my way to create negative attention. You know what I mean? Some people have to create negative attention just to get attention. Nah, that ain't me. I'm just gonna always be me. That's just my slogan. Always myself. Always myself. So I think when you're so sure of yourself, like another thing, I don't like beards. I love my clean face. I don't care to have a beard just because girls find it attractive. I don't give a fuck. I'm me. I don't care what anybody like. When I know me, the people that's going to attract to me is going to attract to me. I don't run to the fact where girls say, "Oh, I like this guy with a beard." Fuck all that. You go get that. I'm gonna be me at the end of the day. I just love. I love looking young. You know, I just love just the clean face. It's just always been me. Will that change when I get older? Perhaps. I don't know. But at this point in my life, I love looking young. You know, every time I go somewhere, people think I'm just turning 20. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I take care of myself. I meditate. You feel me? I get in my bag. That's all I can really say. I just love, like I find values in things that are healing. You know, I don't chase around things that I know that isn't going to end up good. You know, but that's what healing things naturally attract to me. That's just Josh Chapman. That's just me. And we gotta find that. You know, there's all this other stuff going on. Cool. But I'm gonna be me at the end of the day. And I'm never going to compromise being me for the sake of anybody. You know? And that's why I like live streaming, you know? You know, when you run your own shift and your own stuff, like, it comes with a level of responsibility. That's why I don't encourage everybody to go and be an entrepreneur. I don't encourage the thing of, hey, you know, if I can do it, you can do. I've never tried to encourage. Like, even though it's like, man, you know, I'm the last person that had ever thought that I could be at this point. Even then, it's like, there have been things that allow for me to be at this point, you know? So you have to understand who you are. If you're not a person that is open to taking risks, don't do it. If you are comfortable with just having your own job, going back home, you know, you don't mind a person telling you what, do it. And on the flip side, if you know that in your heart you have something that you want to give to the world, do it. And to the point, circling back to the point that I was talking about value, the only way you can make money in this world is an exchange of value. It's the only way. That's what money is just a medium for value exchange. Like, that's why I say when people try to do things selfishly to make money, like, I mean, you can do things illegally, but still, even people that do things that, like, they're still selling a value. You know, the only way that you're not selling a value is if you're taking from it. Thievery, you know? If you're stealing from somebody, then no. But like I said, when you do bad, like, and you take from somebody that's worked hard for it, like, there's an energy around that. That's why I don't do bad. I'm not like and that's why I say, like, I'm not a super spiritual thing, but I do believe in, like, because you can feel it. Like, you can really feel it in the magnetic field. You can feel it in the ether. That when you, like it sits on your, I can't speak for everybody, but for a person like me, if I do something bad, that sits on my conscience. You know? It does. And that's why I know what the decisions I do make, like, I'd be okay with it because it's like, I know what I did. But it's very rare I do things that are that I do regretful. It's very rare. At least within the past 3-4 years of me learning myself, because I know me, I know, and that's just the main thing. Is like you have to be comfortable knowing yourself. You have to be okay with people not agreeing with what you gotta say. It's just the facts of the world. Everybody's not gonna agree with what you say, and they shouldn't. Why should they? You know. But gotta be you at the end of the day. Gotta love your life. You know, gotta be at the top of your game. Have to be at the top of your game. Have to. Because it builds a level of confidence, awareness, responsibility, all these things. Like, I love waking up knowing that I'm not on nobody's schedule. Knowing that I'm on my own time. And if I do schedule with somebody, it's because there's a deal or a meeting that has to happen. When you wake up on your own time, I like freedom. Some people don't like it. Because sometimes with freedom, there's things that a lot of people just can't handle. Because it takes a lot of responsibility. You know? A lot of people don't believe in responsibility, you know? I can't stop people from not wanting to believe it. I believe in freedom. I believe in responsibilities. I think everybody has a responsibility to take care of themselves. Like, when I do build a business, a big business, the main thing that I'm going to get to and make sure everybody is aware of, my job is to employ you for the work you do. I am not your saving grace. I am not the person that is putting food on your family. You're doing that. You know? So, if you do that, understand that you still have to, whatever happens with any type of job, you're still responsible. You know what I mean? So like and I think a lot of people needs to look at a job like that as like, don't look at me as because I'm paying you, I'm putting food. No, you're doing that because there's a job that I have for you, and I'm compensating you for your work. But I'm not your saving grace. You know? Because I employ you, have to always ultimately find ways, not only just through me to compensate, but through yourself. And if we look at that as a business model of like, hey, if I employ you, you know, I employ you, but you got to do the work. You know, you can't just be like, oh, well, this person, like, they depend on me, and like, it's my responsibility to compensate the workers that do the work. But if there is a problem where there's a situation where, you know, there might be a backup of money coming in, it's still your responsibility to still pay that bill. Don't depend on me. You feel me? I always say that. That's why I like when people work for people, or if their rent is supposed to come and they tell their landlord, oh, I'm still waiting for my check from my boss, and then now you're coming in on 10 because, like, no, like, you said it's your responsibility, your financial responsibility to have emergency money put away. You know, situations at jobs happen, you're gonna get paid, but because of the situation that's happening at hand, even though it stops you, we're not your responsibility to pay your bills. We just compensate you for the work. And I think like that's the the dynamics that I don't think people get. You know, like, you're there to do a job, and yes, we're gonna give you all these benefits. We're gonna put you on XYZ. I get that. That's important. But in the same breath, never be fully reliant on your job. Never. You know what I mean? And I think too many people see people that are in power as saviors. And it's from a person that ain't really got too much. I just don't understand why people always look at, you know, others as saviors. Like, we're always all, at the end of the day, we all responsible for ourselves. Period. When you become an adult, you're responsible for yourself. You know. And we got to start thinking that way. It's all I think about, man. I hate to be the party pooper, but we have to also become financial literate, right? Financial discipline, right? Being comfortable with yourself, that you don't have to spend crazy amounts of money. You know, do what you want with your money, but don't be mad when you're in a situation because of what you did with your money. Financial responsibility. We got to know that stuff, you know. But who knows? But it's a good conversation, y'all. Like I said, we settled in now. So the next step, obviously, is to try to just reach that next level of you know, the reach the next level of just this streaming stuff, man. You know, like I said, number one goal is Streamer University 2027. You know, that's the number one goal. I'm saying that, been saying that since the first time I started streaming. It's always gonna be the goal. If it don't happen, still. But I'm preparing myself now. There's gonna be a trailer where it's a very intentional month to 2 months of work behind it. It ain't just gonna be no running gun rinky-dink. There's going to be work behind it, as on top of, like I say, the consistent streaming. You know, I gotta start doing something different. You know, I made 7 talking contents. We're gonna do something different. It might be a fitness, next. But I don't know if I want to do another talking content. I might do the Spanish journey. I do want to learn Spanish. I told myself I gotta learn Spanish. I have to. I want to. So we're there's gonna be a lot of things that we're gonna do, but we're gonna learn that. Like I said, fitness. I might walk tomorrow. Who knows? Might take y'all, might not take y'all. If I don't, oh well. On to the next. All right. So I do appreciate y'all, and let's keep building. All right.